Hello, we are learning Daf Nun, Daf 50 of Sefer Vayikra, Likkutei Torah. And this is the last Daf of the entire Sefer Vayikra. Mine begins it's a pasuk, actually from Parshas Vayetze, Vayikra Reuven, Bimmei Ktzir Chitim B'Sadidayim Basodeh, that Reuven went during the times of the wheat harvest to find these dudayim in the fields. The Alter brings two more psukim, one from Mishlei, one from Parshas Matos. One should educate the youth according to his way, so that way, even when he grows old, he will not stray from it. And the last pasuk, Yutan es haaretz zeis lavadecha. This land will be given to your servant. Now, the Alter Rabbi asks a very important question. The idea of the pasuk Chanuch L'Na'ar Pi Darkai seems to imply that it's good to do that, to educate one's child according to his way. However, we see in the introduction to the second section of Tanya, Vemuna, that the pasuk Chanuch L'Na'ar implies the fact that one has to educate according to the child's way. That seems like a compromise from the true way that one should teach. So that seems like a chisaron, so to speak, in the education of the child. If that's the case, then what is the advantage to such an extent that when he gets older, he won't veer from the path? So the inyan is that based on the pasuk of Hadodאים, two explanations to the word dudayim. The first explanation is a type of grass, and the second is that it is barley. And the fact that it's called dudayim comes from the lashon attain es doidai lach, which is love of Ava, based on this pasuk in Shirim. From this is drawn down, and I guess gives birth this love that burns like a fiery flame. Now, either way you explain the word dudayim, whether it be grass or barley, either way it alludes to animal, bahama, the whole inyan of bahama and everything represents. Because, for example, the fact that it's barley, that we know is specifically animal food. And if you define it as grass, Asaph, we know that the tribes of Reuven, Bnei Gad and Bnei Reuven, specifically, they wanted to have their inheritance, their portion of the land of Israel outside of the Israel proper, on the other side of the Yarden, the Yarden, the east of the Jordan River, in order to specifically so that their behemoths their cattle can graze. There's be more space for them to graze, eat the grass, so to speak. And that's in the same way that, as it says in the pasuk, they'll give you grass for your field, specifically for the behema, for your behema, as we said above. Only chisaron of Bnei Gad, Bnei Reuven by specifically choosing the other side of Jordan for the pasturing of their cattle is the fact that they also made the tafel Iker, in the sense that really the whole purpose of the Meichel Behema is for the purpose of Meichel Adam. Just like we learned in the previous Maimer, the halacha, that it's aser la'adam sh'yitoim klum ad sh'yitein Meichel Behemtai. That one can't eat anything until he gives food to his animal. But that the purpose is not to feed the animal, but rather the ultimate purpose is v'chalta v'savata, And l'chu lachmu melachmi, as we discussed in depth in the previous mimer, that the whole purpose is really for the Meichel Adam, and the Meichel Behema is just a means to reach that goal. And furthermore, Eretz Yisrael specifically is called Eretz Chita Utsoera, meaning it's both Meichel Adam and Meichel Behema. And despite that, they specifically established the location specifically for exclusively Makna for pasturing the cattle, seemingly to the exclusion of Meichel Adam. Now the Zohar explains, based on another pasuk in Kehalas, that includes the word nar, lad or young person, that this is the level of matatron, which from there is the source of hashpa to other levels. And however, despite this, we still need this inyan of chanukh nar pidarkai, and also the inyan of ki yazkin le'yisur mimena. So the explanation is ki yazkin is the level of Adam, because zaken means zeshikana chachma, one that acquires wisdom, meaning through the wheat specifically, which is the word chita is gematria 22, which corresponds to the 22 letters of the aleph beis, which make up the Torah. So chita, wheat, is connected to Torah. Nevertheless, like yasr mimena, meaning, which is the inyan of this level of dudאים, barley, which is animal food, meaning because one needs this level of behema shalamayla from this level of Adam. The fact that it's written to Adam of behema shehi, and the fact that it is nimshach afterwards, this inyan of behema, which is higher than tam v'das. So through this hill inyan of chanukh nar, which is education, becomes educated, to first have this level of bittul, of the level of behema, which is the angels, the malachim, which is the pnei shor and the merkava, el yoina, and the ifanim, the chayis brash gadol, being through this shir Hashem, as we spoke about earlier, through all these inyanim, can establish the bittul in his soul, in a person's soul. And then that is this, I guess, spiritually, this level of youth, of nar. And then gam ki yaskin, once the child, a spiritual child, every person, that when they acquire more wisdom, lo yasur, meaning that this level of behema won't leave this level of bittul, of these very lofty levels of behema, pnei shor, and the malachim won't leave the person either, which is a level of bittul that's even higher than seichel. Now, moving on to Sefer Beis to explain the matter further. We know it's written in Rus that v'yomer chulei v'yomad sheish sa'orim, that they measured out 6 barley, 6, I guess, grains of barley. I think Gemara says maybe it's 6 of barley, but that's a lot of barley. Then the Gemara goes on and says in Sanhedrin that really represents the 6 tzaddikim that came from Rus. Now, l'chayra, it doesn't make sense how great tzaddikim could be called barley. What's the shaychus? If anything, I would think that tzaddikim would be more connected to the union of wheat, of chita. Now, but if one looks further in the Gemara in Chulin, in the chapter of Kiddush Nasha Daf Tzad Beis, Amud Aleph, that is brought there, it brings down this inyan over there, and the Marsha, the Likkutei Torah, tries to answer and resolve this question. However, it appears that the level of chita of wheat, which is Meichel Adam, is much greater than barley, which is Meichel Behema, animal food. That this level of Adam represents the neshamas of Atzilus. However, the Meichel Behema represents the neshamas of Bia, which is lower than Atzilus. However, the Alter is explaining here that there's a second level of Behema that's even greater than the level of Adam. Now, as we move on to Amud Gimel of this daf. Our sages state in the first chapter of Gemara Chulin on the pasuk Adam u'Behema Tishya Hashem Havaya, that specifically Adam u'Behema. So what's the inyan? The Gemara says these are bnei Adam that are naked b'das in knowledge, just like Adam Arishain before Itadas, and they were essentially, in a certain sense, like this primordial behema. So therefore, they are called by Sa'arim, which is specifically Michael Behema, which is this lofty level of Behema Rabbah, which is higher than the level of Adam. Now in the Zohar, in Parshas Amor, it explains that the Sheish Sa'arim of roast, these 6 barley corns, they represent the Shisha Sidrei Mishnah, the 6 orders of Mishnah. And that this is Mechel Behema, animal food, meaning to say that through this, when we come to this level of Adam Behema Tishya Hashem, this very high level of Behema that's even higher than Adam. And like our sages say, Rabbi's Parshas Amor, that Adam anachnu ki behema teishienu mishanu mishachim achrecha ki behema. However, the shaychus is the 6 orders of the Mishnah to barley. We can say that this is the lashon of shi'urim. Sa'arim is the same letters as shi'urim. The Torah Shabbat Peh is limited to specific shi'ur, specific limits. For all the mitzvahs, for example, tefillin has only 4 parchments and has to be square and black. All these halachas that limit it specifically, and sukkah has to be this size, but no longer larger than this size, etc. This is what it means. This is also this level of shiur Hashem. This limit of Hashem, that the shiur Hashem represents the 5 gevuros, the hikvuros, which are given with a specific measure. This is also the hay, the shiur hay, specifically number 5, which is, but also hay also represents Havaya, which is the letter hay of Hashem's name, which we're drawing down this level of hay Ilah, meaning the first hay of Shem Yud Kivavke, which is this very lofty level. You could also say that Sa'irim B'Sin Smalis, specifically with the sin, the fact that there's with the sins, Lashon Usaviv of Nisarom Oid, that our sages say that in the Bava Basra and Yavames, this Lashon Chutasara, like a hair, the string of a hair, meaning that the halachos of the Torah Shabbat Peh are called kvutsoisav taltalim, like locks of hair, curls of hair, just like our sages say at the end of first chapter of Chagiga, kahararim hatluyim basara, like the mountains that are hanging on a thread, like a hair thread. So we see that the sin, when you say sa'im with a sin, it's also connected to the idea of hair. All this is drawn down through through waving the korban aimer, through Sfiras Aimer, the korban of the aimer. The angels, even though they receive that they also receive from this level of barley, of sa'ira, which is shiur havaya, the limit of hay, or limit of five limitation, 5 puras. So this is called oimdim. They are called oimdim. Angels are called oimdim. They're called standing creatures, spiritual beings. Why? Because they're oimdim brum olam. They are standing in this very lofty level, but it's only one level. However, the neshamas of the Jewish people, they are in a body and refine the animal soul, specifically through pushing away negativity. And then they reach this level of being mahalchim. They're goers, movers, walkers, meaning the Jewish people, Jewish neshamas, they have this mila that they can elevate themselves, ilu achar ilu, which is the idea of heini fasaimer, the waving the korban aimer. This elevation is the level of behema, which is higher than the level of Adam. It's higher than this level of Adam. Misham amshichim amshacha ayayna deshish שעורים. This level of the 6 orders of the Mishnah. The source is run down from the level of Sa'arishe Karmanakat. Okay, that is the hair of the sheep, of this white hair of the sheep, brought down in Daniel, which is also this Indian of Oimer, Ka'amar Neke, specifically. The sheep's wool, which is connected to the same words of the word Oimer, and which is connected to the mitzvah of Sfirsa Oimer, with Sfartim Lacham, specifically 50 days. The whole idea of 50 is because the purpose of Sfirsa Oimer is to draw down the 50th gate, which is from the level of Oimer Sa'irim. This Oimer offering that's made of barley. So you see all these inyanim are connected. Moving on to the last sif of the Maimer Sif Gimel, V'hine, the whole inyan of wheat, of chita, which is human food, Michael Adam, the 22, which represent the 22 letters of Lashon Kodesh, which makes up the letters of the Torah. We can explain, according to that which was explained earlier in Parshas Vatzchanan, in the discourse starting with Vahavta Ace, that through learning Torah, we draw down this infinite light of Hashem, the Ein Sof Baruch Hu, which becomes revealed to us from this level of our Pnimi, this internal light. And therefore, through this, it's called Adam, we have this level of Chachmei La Mamish. This level of Chachmei La. We draw down this lofty level of Chachma B'tzilus. And it's not the case by barley, because barley, Sa'ira, is shiur hay, meaning that one that meditates how Hashem fills all the worlds and encompasses all the worlds, mammalians and Sefer. Nevertheless, he doesn't grasp Hashem's essence, and also not the essence of Chachmei La, Chachma B'tzilus, but rather his mitzias and not the mahus of the davar. Therefore, it's called behema. It's still called behema because I guess it's less sophisticated. And specifically 12 bakar, 12 bakar, vayam alehem, says in Divrei Yamim, which is the idea of makif. Now moving on to Amud Daled, the 4th column of Daf Nun. According to this is understood this whole Indian of Behema Rabbah, which is higher than the level of Adam. That compared to Ein Sof Baruch Hu Mamish, also Chachmei La is in this level of Adam, just like Asiya, the physical action. So we see here, meaning compared to infinite or Ein Sof, 1 and a million is equal. So here in this case, Behema Rabbah and Chachmei law, they're both on the same level of Siyagashmis, because it's all compared to the absolute infinitude of the essence of Hashem. And this idea is brought down in other places, in other levels regarding Adam Cahnman, as it is Kesed Dechlalos, which is called under the Bria. There's the level of Bahama, and that is only considered the level of Aryeh as well. And down here in our Avodas Hashem, this level of Bittul, which is higher than intellect, is very important in Avodas Hashem. And that is, in Avodas Hashem, this Bittul is avoided on the level of Bahama. And this is the idea of waving the two breads of Shavuos, specifically over the two lambs, the two kvasim on Shavuos, in order so that we should have this level of Ad Bahama Toshi Hashem, to have this unity of this Meichel Adam with Meichel with the union of Bahama together, and having the Mila of both and this Achdus of both. And through this, it can be understood by what the Maimer says in Rabbi's, the beginning of Parsha Vayishlach, on the pasuk Vayikra Chamor, donkey. This represents Malach Mashiach, King Mashiach. That this is the level of Behema Rabbo, this lofty spiritual level, which is higher than the level of Adam, as we spoke about earlier. Meaning that it is Adam Cahnman, meaning this level of Adam is Adam Cahnman, which is also called Adam de Bria Kasher Dechalos. And this is also the Inyan Sachar Chamor Garem in Parshas Vayikra, that in Gemara, beginning first chapter, beginning of chapter, the 5th chapter of Gemara Shabbos, that says the Chamara Sarei. That this is what it means, Dama Ein Basa, that know where you came from. It's brought down in Pirkei. The Chai brings down that Ayin is Chachma, as the proof text for that is V'chachma mi Ayin Timatze in Eoiv, that so the whole inyan of Dama Ein Basa, that one should know that one comes from this level of Chachma B'tzilus. However, the fact is in Kohelas Ki Akoil Havel, that everything is vanity, meaning that also Chachma La is called Havel. Even Chachma B'tzilus is called vanity, vain, which is just a mere glimmer compared to Hashem's essence. So we see that the pasuk in Kohelas, beginning that Shlomo said that there's 7 havalim corresponding to the 7 days of creation, meaning that even Shabbos is called Hevel, and Shabbos is Chachmei La, which Shabbos is connected to this highest level of Hashem of Atzilus, meaning because it's this level of Shabbos b'Shabbatoi, that also the day of Shabbos that we celebrate today is considered like a weekday compared to when Mashiach comes. That Mashiach comes, we'll have Yom Shekuli Shabbos. We'll have a day that's entirely Shabbos, and therefore it'll be called Hevel compared to the Shabbos of Mashiach. And also, one could say the explanation of the word Hevel, the fact that it is written in the Midrash Tehillim, regards to the whole idea of Behebra, there's some period with the hay, just like the hay that Adam takes, that when a person pronounces the letter hay from his mouth, there is no richush sfasayim, meaning his lips doesn't have to move or close at all. Nor does the tongue have to move. She also has to breathe, just that that breath has to come out, and then you don't have to actually put any effort into pronouncing anything. This is what it means hevel, this hey, which is a very lofty level. So hevel can mean in the negative sense, but hevel can also mean that hey, which is this hey ilah, which is asa kalila, very lofty level, which is the source of all the worlds, from the level of Malchus, which is called also hey. And similarly, on Cahnman's source is from Malchus of himself. So also hevel, the word hevel is milui of Shem Sag. Now, the source of Olam Tohu comes from the last yud of the milui of Shem Sag. So we see that hevel is source in this very lofty level of tohu, which is even higher than tikkun. La'an atahilech, that we say that it says, the word la'an means to where, or to where you're going. So an refers to a place, and you bring a couple proof texts for that. And so the whole inyan is that in this olam hazeh makom gashmi, one's going from ayin, which is chachma, and going la'an, which is to makom gashmi. And rather, the reason why one could be going la'an atahilech, I mean going from this highest level of chachma and ruchnius to gashmius, is because the tchias amesim, is the whole inyan of Giler himself, in the sense that ruchnius and gashmius would be completely equal compared to himself, Hashem's essence. There's no hierarchy between ruchnius and gashmius; it's all equal in the eyes of Hashem's essence. And therefore, we can have this revelation, but gashmius in this world, and the ultimate expression of Derek Tachtenim. And this is Velechne mi'ata asid. It says me, who, meaning this level of mi bara ela, which is this very lofty level. This is ren mi tena v'hoya levavam zeh, mi ten mitzia and Yeshua Yisrael, mi ten taher mitame misha amar vaya elam migila levane razeh. And this is the level of Atika Kadisha. And that is the end of the mimer and the end of Sefer Vayikra, excluding the Haisafas. Thank you for joining. Have a wonderful day.